Welcome to the Blessed to Teach show. Here we are on Sunday evening. It's November 11th. It's 11/11, and that is Armistice Day as well as Veterans Day. Exciting times here as we look at a whole new phase of QAnon. And he says, let the unsealing begin. Whoa, let the unsealing begin. I've been waiting for those words for a long time. Here we got Tammy and Brian and Mr. Fee, a bunch of you guys. Thank you so much for coming on and unseal everything. People are saying Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Antarctica, and Cleveland, and Minnesota, and Wisconsin, and California, Minnesota, Michigan. Thank you guys. Boom, says somebody. Here's South Dakota and Morrison, California, Joplin. Whoa, Oregon, going way too fast. Boise, Idaho. Hey, thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, let the unsealing begin. I've been waiting for those words for a long time. And it says QAnon, November 11th. We have a bunch of drops that we get to go over here on 11/11, and also a Bible study on Esther 1 and 2. So let's dig into it now. We are talking so much activity. It's going to be tough to get through in an hour, but we'll do our best. Here we have the Bible study we'll do in a second, but let's first get to look at some of the drops that we saw. We saw here, boom, there's the first Q one. From November 10th, you saw he reposted the 119 showing all these, 13 people that all had these unauthorized emails. Loretta Lynch, obviously, I think we were talking about what the AM was. That includes McCabe, right? Anthony McCabe. And so that was one of the ones that you guys let me know what it was. But exciting things just to see that he's talking about dig deeper, read the drops. There is a reason why directly after the drop, Microsoft shut down the entire network to erase collected and stored data. So we see all that stuff going on. That's where we left off on November 11th. Now we get to see a potential assassination attempt on Trump. That may be. We'll see if that is. But let me talk about my sponsor. This is the last time you have the Black Friday special for Virtual Shield. Remember, there's these companies like Apple and Facebook putting trust scores on you. China's already doing it for their citizens. And there's all kinds of ways they can do this where they gather everything. We just saw Eric Schmidt's email that he was trying to gather everything about a voter, including what websites you go to. And it's real easy to do if they can get your IP address. Because your router at your home is like a telephone number, this IP address, that actually everybody that's using Wi-Fi is associated with that. So it can real easy track your data. So if you want any privacy, you need a good VPN. You don't want a bad VPN. You want one that's fast and easy and doesn't keep logs. That way you can trust that they'll never give your information out, right? And that's why we're doing the Black Friday sketch sale. Again, this is the last time I'll talk about Virtual Shield this month. So it's the last chance for you guys. You can still go to this all month, this link. But this is the last time I'm going to be talking about it. Again, this is an amazing deal with 40% off all of the deals, but best of all, 63% off the actual 2-year deal if you do per month. I mean, this is amazing. Most, $15, $20 a month for a good VPN. But look how easy this is. You just come up here to this little green thing and you say connect or disconnect or show it, right? And boom, here I'm connected to Los Angeles, California, right? So they have no idea I'm in Texas right now. And when I started, and I have 187 in my IP address at my house here. And so here I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring this up. You see 47,187. I can't show you my whole IP address. That's dangerous. That's everybody would, but now, once I log into Virtual Shield and refresh using IP Chicken to see you can see it went to 149.28. Right? So it's a completely different IP address. It's going to show them I'm coming from Los Angeles, California. They never can track me. That's 101 in security and privacy is just not letting them see your data. It's also encrypted. So number one, it's a different area. Number two, it's a different IP address. Number three, it's encrypted. And it's just easiest to use, fastest to use. One of the, some of the ones in the world, as well as it's incredible, usually pretty high priced. Right? That was their only criticism. But now with this Black Friday special, you can get it for $2.99 a month. And you can also get this IdentiSafe where they'll shut down your microphone and webcam and keep them from hackers and spies to be able to mess with your camera and your microphone and stuff like that. So come down here and grab grab this. Oh, 73% off. I said 63% off. It's a much better deal than that. So let's get into this Q post right now. We've got 2477. I personally think this is probably another assassination attempt on Trump, but it could be a bunch of other things. So, but let's dig into this. It says here, it's just reminding us that they had to push off the parade, right? Because basically they made it 666% increase in cost. That's what the deep state did to Trump. So the cost that was going to be a certain amount, then all of a sudden it went up 666%. Surprise, surprise, right? Breaking, Pentagon says military parade proposed for Veterans Day delayed until at least 2019. No military parade this year, right? So thank you, Alpha Lobster. Hope all's well. God bless you. God bless POTUS. God bless Patriots. God bless America. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, Alpha Lobster. I hear you. But but look at this. What's interesting about this post in 2477, it says timeline change. Watch the budget Q. And that was on 8/16. This was posted. So August 16th, they let us know that all this changed. But then it says enemy at the front door. So they are mad and angry, and the deep state is kicking for their lives, right? A rat cornered, right? And it says the U.S. Secret Service stay alerts prevent travel. So there was some talk about Trump's helicopter and all kinds of things with the weather over there. So that could be it. Now, it could be a lot of other things, but this says then a week to remember, Q. So if you take it in the context of the next thing, a week to remember, it could be maybe that all the people that have USS, that has Secret Service, even the Obamas and the Hillarys that have the Secret Service on them, even Loretta Lynch, I think it is, or Valerie Jarrett has, I think, the Secret Service protecting them. Could they be being prevented from traveling this next week? So those are some of the theories going out there by the Anons. Let me know what you think. I personally think it's just them trying to take out Trump. That's their biggest objective. And that's why we just need to continue to pray for his safety and pray that the land is healed. That's the biggest thing I keep pointing to is, oh, please, Lord, heal our land. He's in the process of it. You can see amazing things happen the last 2 years. But 2478, actually more than 2 years, if you look back at the WikiLeaks coming out and just Trump being hit with so many things and still being able to win even through that 2015-2016 campaign, right? Now we look at 2478. This is my favorite one. It says, let the unsealing begin. Let the D class begin. And it's interesting they have a brackets around the L. And so, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be Loretta Lynch or anybody that started with an L. Anybody that has a first or last name that starts with an L. I just don't think I'd want to be that. But it says now it's regarding the D class, not the unsealing indictment. So interesting that L is there. So let me know what you think that is. Then it says, let the world witness the truth. And so that's what this whole 11/11 thing's about. It is a next phase moving from fighting to justice, right? It says, we the people, justice under the law, all in caps, Q. And that is a pretty awesome post. I'm just going to read it all again without any interruption. It says, let the unsealing begin. Let the D class begin. Let the world witness the truth. We the people, justice under the law, Q. Whew. That's 2478. And that just, I saw that when that came up on my app, right? And I was just going, wow, finally, let the unsealing begin. Now, we can't get our hopes up too much, though, because, we were talking about the D class for quite some time. It's been used as just a bribery technique on the deep state, right? And so how quickly they'll do this, and it might just be a few indictments at a time because they probably have a ton to get through. I'll talk about that a little bit later, about what I think the numbers are probably. 2479. So now this is reposting the fact that the illegal immigration in our country and where they're primarily located maps almost completely about where the Democrats are getting elected. Obviously insinuating. Thank you, Who's Your Patriot. So just so obviously insinuating that there's voter fraud going on and massive illegal voting, and the voter ID thing is just crazy. But then look at this. This is even almost more exciting in some ways if this actually was the case. What if the below could be proven? And notice that's all in caps. What if the below could be proven? 1. Election plus D party officials filled out many thousands of blank ballots. 2. Election plus D party officials removed and destroyed legal ballots. Man, that's almost even worse if you think about it. Number 3, election plus D party officials deliberately organized non-citizen voting. Number 4, election plus D party officials in XX locations across the U.S. under lock and key stored many thousands of blank ballots for purposes of altering the vote total. Woo! If you look at that, that's crazy. Those are 4 massive pieces of fraud, of election fraud. And it says, who safeguards the blank ballots? Right, in each state, I don't know if it differs or not. Let me know if you know the detail of that. Who issues blank ballots? Right, because is that different? I think that's different in each state as well, potentially. Who controls blank ballots? I wonder if this Department of Homeland Security, the way it's insinuating this, that's what I'm thinking, is that they moved a lot of this to the Department of Homeland Security. But how many blank ballots are generated versus total county population? That's something you could really calculate. What if, right? And so there's a lot of speculation that there's more votes than there is in the population, as an example. The control and issuance of blank ballots is key, and that's all caps. So this is coming back down to this 4th thing where they in all these locations across the U.S. under lock and key stored many thousands of blank ballots for purposes of altering the vote. And it says the control and issuances of blank ballots is the key. So I'm waiting to see what the results of these answers are. I think there's some type of federal organization that must control the blank ballots for the different states. That's what I don't know, but that's what it's insinuating. That's going to be part of the sting operation here to catch them in the action. So instead of a big focus on keeping the fraud down during the 2016 election, it looks like it was a sting operation, and that is going to be exciting. Why do the same counties under dispute today refuse to turn over voter registration information under request to the Voter Fraud Commission? Well, they need to know how much they have to win. They had to do 40,000 votes to beat Scott out. And so they can't tell you how many they have, or they're not going to be able to cheat all the way to the win, right? And here, why was the Voter Fraud Commission disbanded and turned over to the Department of Homeland Security? And I think we know the answer to that. That Voter Fraud Commission was created and it was disbanded because the states wouldn't give them the information. But they had probably captured a bunch of information, but DHS has a lot more power, right? And what vested authority does DHS have compared to the commission body? And I think that's a big key to the question. This commission body didn't have nearly the authority of what DHS does. So hopefully DHS sting operation on massive fraud in our election for 2016 has been captured. And I think we saw that in earlier Q posts. If you go just search on DHS, right? And I'll do that here in just a second. And right now he posts a Washington Post article, and it says enemy at the front door for the second time. Q. And this Washington Post article is talking about what Trump and Sessions accused. And of course, this is the Washington Post, so they're going to spin it. What is this doing? Keep reading for $1? I thought for sure I looked at this. No, I'm not going to do that, Washington Post. So the Washington Post article, though, was without evidence, Trump and Sessions warn of voter fraud in Tuesday's elections. And the Washington Post was just twisting it around to say all these ugly things, right? So that pretty much they had no basis for it whatsoever, right? Well, they did. We had a sting operation on DHS. So if you go here up to the very top, and it says type to filter, and type in DHS, okay, space, change it to spell checks, just giving me fits there. So I do not want it to say, there we go. So it's giving me 5. So I click over here and I go Command F and type DHS again. And then there's 7 matches. I hit back and that shows me the first one. I've showed you guys this many times, right? So let's go to QAnon.pub. go to the top, filter, and then come off of it and hit Command F or Control F, depending if you have a PC or a Mac, and then type it in again and hit backwards. You'll see the first time he talked about DHS was 394, December 19th, safety first. We have the USS, NSA, and DHS also protecting this message. No random IP needed, though we can implement at a moment's notice. Godspeed. So that's talking about safety here on December 19th. If I go backwards again, the DHC will be submitting a final report. Now, this is way back on February 16th. And this is the one I really wanted to get to. In an effort to preserve the integrity of all U.S. elections, as ordered by the President of the United States, after extensive investigation in select counties, the sampling the DHS has conducted that while Russian entities, as outlined in the S.C. Mueller investigation, were complicit in attempting to undermine the presidential election of 2016, had no direct impact or bearing on the outcome of the presidential election, nor were there any U.S. persons knowingly part of such an attempt to sabotage it as it relates to the Russian investigation, U.S. and other foreign entities. As further discussed within the DHS, and it says XXXXX, acting outside of Russia, agents did attempt on numerous occasions and were successful in interfering with the presidential election of 2016, Senate elections of XYZX elections, whereby several million illegal non-resident ballots, the irregularities were counted, while legal ballots were improperly tabulated or intentionally mishandled. We believe these actions were coordinated attack against the democracy of our country. The DHS will be submitting a final report to the White House, DOJ, other state and local agencies outlining our findings as early as March 2018. While this report only encompasses a sampling of 22 counties across the U.S., it is strongly suggested, based on the evidence provided, that a mandated countrywide investigation begin under the recommendation of U.S. 50 EIC guidelines as set forth in Section 7 of the final report. Furthermore, based on your immediate findings, we recommend the adoption of 8EFGH be made immediately to combat sources of methods currently being deployed to ... And if you look at that, guys, this was done to only us. This is not public information. This is just QAnon information, right? So there is no allegation in this indictment that any American was knowingly participant in this illegal activity. So it basically kills the Russian conspiracy theory, but it shows, yes, we have a problem with the elections, and what it is voter fraud by illegals, right? And in 22 counties. And you don't think Broward County was one of those being studied, or the new study? We recommend the adoption be made immediately to do to basically dig into this in more detail, to basically combat sources of methods currently being deployed. So they're probably saying, hey, nobody's stopping me, and they're really putting in a sting operation is what I think happened here. Won't that be cool? So we'll see if that comes to play. So that was 780 on February 16th. And then we have the ones that we just read before. So obviously exciting things about the DHS. So now if you clean that out, you'll bring back up everything that we have here. So let's continue to dig into that. So we see that was a huge, talk about two bombshell posts. 2478 on unsealing beginning, declassing beginning, the world witnessing the truth, justice under the wall, all the way to here's the specifics of 4 ways that the Democrats were actually committing voter fraud. And so, and the fact is that we are going to, it looks like the control issuance of blank ballots is the key. That's where they nailed them on the sting, probably. Wow. Now, they know how to do a sting correctly, unlike Spygate, where they screwed up on the sting and are going to go to jail over it, is what's going to end up happening with Spygate or FISAgate, right? Here's 2480. With respect, honor, and gratitude, your sacrifices will never be forgotten. Thank you, and God bless veterans. Q. Very appropriate here on 11/11 Veterans Day. I think you saw Trump probably this morning speaking over in France, giving honor to all the World War veterans. This is the 100th year since World War One was finally ended. And he talked about all. It was a great speech, but also dangerous being over there, obviously, especially when you got Macron, the deep state idiot, sitting there talking about nationalism is not a patriot. When it's just the opposite, dude. You're a globalist. You hate your country. You're just in it for you and the deep state cabal, and you know it, dude. And everybody else is going to soon. 2481. Now this is even bigger than the other two if you think about it. This is now where Q is literally in the Patriot Fight Board. Now there's some pornography on here, unfortunately, because that's the porno people make the most money. So just a big warning. I flip over here. I'll try to miss it. Yeah, it's at the top here, but I just wanted to show you it's the Patriots Fight Board. So just real quickly, see, it's the Patriots Fight Board, and then he's deleted everything. So QAnon has deleted everything except for these posts. The gavel we saw yesterday that said Future Comms, Prestage ELE, Prestage SEC, Prestage DIR, Prestage KAP with Y's on the end of them, right? On ready Q. So they're ready to go. Now this was posted all the way back in March, I think, and now here we are again. Yesterday it was posted. And then he gives all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories of placeholders. That means they're going to start putting a bunch of stuff in here. So 2481, placeholder for indictments tracking for civilians. Woo! 2482, placeholder indictment tracking for non-civilians, because there's a lot of those. We got the Awan brothers and all kinds of slime all over that's non-citizens, as well as all the slime in our own country. Right here we got 2483, placeholder. So now this is interesting. You know, Mark Taylor's prediction that there's going to be all kinds of nefarious activity that's found out in the Supreme Court. Why would we have a placeholder for this? Supreme Court rulings regarding challenges, civilian, non-civilian, and it's got placeholder Supreme Court rulings regarding USA versus deaf appeals. So I'm not sure what the DEF is. I want to know if it's defeated appeals. I don't know. But obviously, I think there's going to be corruption found in the Supreme Court. That's going to be revealed here shortly. 2484, placeholder branch terminations, placeholder leaks. It could be all the White House leaks, FISA leaks, but maybe not FISA because all the FISA stuff's up here. We'll see in a second. 2485, placeholder for acts of treason plus supported articles. I'm sure there's going to be a full folder for Obama there and Hillary and a bunch of other people. Here's a placeholder, foreign acts public. So I'm sure the pub's probably public, so that we get to see these foreign acts public. And here is 2486, placeholder for the Five Eyes public, placeholders for the FISA public, or publish, or maybe they're published things, I don't know, but bottom line is we get to see the Five Eyes countries, which were all over Spygate, right? So all their communications about how they basically all decided to do try a hit on Trump. They're actually going to try to set him up and trap him and push information in, put people in the campaign, actually then try to extract it all out with spies everywhere and spying electronically as well as with real assets, true spies, and then bust them, as we know. And that's the Five Eyes countries that I'm sure you know is New Zealand and Europe, England, as well as Canada, the U.S., and Australia, right? So you got all 5 of those countries trade intelligence, and they were all conspiring to take out Trump before he was elected and then after, right? So that'll be just real interesting when we start seeing all that. 2487, placeholder D-class general public, placeholder special C public. So that'll be interesting to see what these two are. Obviously, this is going to be a bunch of D classes, just general stuff that we can see. We've been waiting for this for a long time. And then whether he's going to continue to use that as bribery versus actually letting us see it, I think it'll leak out slowly, like I was telling you, like WikiLeaks did. And special C public. I'm not sure what that is. Confidential information, maybe, is a C. But we're going to be interesting to see that. 2488. So this is the last one that I saw. I'll refresh here in a second. And this is NBC News. Basically, give us some new news for today. Another good news, Ratcliffe Gowdy joined list of potential attorney general picks. So we knew that we took Sessions retired, Gowdy retired, and Ratcliffe retired, but they're not going away. They're going to be doing something in some other way. They're going to be in some position taking this cabal down. So it'll be wonderful to see what happens here. And so you can see here is 2 members of Congress, a cabinet official, a president confidant, and a frequent guest on Fox News are among those being considered by President Donald Trump to be the next Attorney General, multiple sources tell NBC News. And it goes into the details of all this. I can't believe that they would actually give it to Chris Christie. I sure hope not. I think he's a swamp creature myself. Ever since he let Obama and highlighted him during Hurricane Sandy and helped him get reelected. Guess it didn't really matter because our backup campaign was probably worse, and that's McCain. He would have been worse. I know. That's an opinion, right? Could have. Both of them are so swampy. It would have been devastating either way. But anyway, we have. So you can go ahead and look at that article and get more details. There's even some video on it. But the point is that Ratcliffe and Gowdy are going to be helping take down this cabal. It's going to be exciting to see that. Let's refresh here to see what we have here. I think just the fact that we have, so that's what we have tonight. Now a ton of news. Let's get into some of this, and just the fact that he deleted everything on here and put these placeholders here is basically saying we're in a complete new phase. We're from the fight, patriot fights to now the justice phase with this gavel, right? And here's some more information. QAnon drops Eric Schmidt Google used corporate power to influence an election. We have all the emails. See Vital 1 here. Nothing is ever erased. So before we get to that, look at what this guy says, Salisbury. He says, everything just got deleted off the Patriot Fight board that Q uses on 8chan. We're entering the justice phase, and I just got goosebumps. The 3rd movie is about to begin. Enjoy the show, MAGA. And I'm not sure, I think FISA was the first movie. Panic in D.C. is going on now. I think it said Plane Now, right? All 3 of those in the 3. So whether we're going to actually get to see the guardian of the pedophiles right away or not will be interesting. But again, we're not going to do mass arrests until they cannot walk the streets, right? And the reason I believe that, if you just go back up to that same thing, that filter, and you can say it's not safe for them to walk the streets, right? Oh, come on. What was the term they used? I'll just use streets for now. Let me do that. And then I'll go again. You go Control F and you do street again. Hopefully there's not too many of them. There's like 9 of them here, so it shouldn't take too long to see it. The spillover into the streets. This is there will come a time none of them will be able to walk down the street. So he gave us this all the way back on March 17th. And there will come a time none of them will be able to walk down the street. What's that insinuate? It means that they're free right now and they're scared to walk down the street. So I think the public's gonna demand them arrested. And I'm talking about your friends that are not red pilled right now are gonna be demanding that they are arrested. And so your biggest person that thinks Obama's the Messiah, and when that person says that Obama should be arrested, that's when Obama's going to be arrested. That means it's a ways off. We've got a long ways to get all those people awake, right? So again, to me, this is a really, really key post when everybody says, why isn't there arrest? Well, we're taking down 100-year-old worldwide cabal that's entangled in everything and every part of our society and controls everything. To take that down, it's not about going and arresting Epstein and letting him off with a slap on the wrist and gone in 2 years. This is about taking down the full cabal. And so that is extremely important that we make sure we know that the plan is, if you want to know what the plan is, it's arrest them after there will come a time none of them will be able to walk down the street. Okay? That's my opinion anyway. So if you look back to see if there's another street one, the street will not be safe for them. Here's another one that says the same thing. And this is 993 on April 2nd. Follow Bolton clean stage. Learn how to archive offline. The streets will not be safe for them. So talking about everything is planned. So and the movie 1, 2, or 3 are going to play out. And and it makes me wonder when it talked about theaters 6, 5, 4. Could there be 3 movies after this? Who knows? No, hopefully they'll all be. They're not simultaneously, and some of them are parallel. Like right now, I think we still have FISA-gate going on, and Panic in DC started. Hopefully, Guardian of Pedophiles will start here soon too, and so we can be watching simultaneously all three movies, right? But that's the streets. So again, this is why you're not seeing arrests anytime soon, right? And I'm talking about the big pins. There's a lot of little arrests going on, a lot of deals going back in the back. I think at some point the street for them will not be safe. This is the third time he talks about this, and this one's in June. So clearly says they want you divided. They call us names. They make threats. They censor. They lie. They project. They cheat. They steal. They harm. They are sick. They are evil. At some point, the streets for them will not be safe. That means we're not going to be arresting them before they're not safe. It means that the people, people that are probably voted for them even in 2018 here. So what does the street know? That's a different one. At some point, it looks like there's another one. Is that the same thing? Yeah, this is August. So the fourth time it looks like here. Riri drops regarding Haiti. At some point, it will not be safe for them to walk down the street. Pure evil, right? So he's told us 4 times that at some point it's not going to be safe for them to walk down the street. So don't expect arrests until that happens. There's a lot of movies that have to play out. I'm talking about the big fish. Obama and Hillary being in cuffs. It's not going to happen for a long time, I believe. But a lot of these other ones are going to be potentially arrested. And the unsealing, as unsealing begins and it starts waking people up. So let's continue to go here. Here's now this is talking also down below here on the Steam It. Down below here, they just show something that I knew a while ago, but everybody's excited about it, so I thought I'd just mention it. Is that Eric Schmidt put some emails that were leaked on WikiLeaks that clearly shows his plan to help Hillary get elected, right? And that's leveraging a lot of Google. And it's literally talking about the location. And I was talking about that virtual shield and protecting you. It's part of the why. Look at what they're going to do to the voter. Key is the development of a single record for a voter that aggregates all that is known about them. So they're trying to aggregate everything they know about you, not just one of the issues is to try to get you to vote the way they want you to vote. So in 2016, smartphones will be used to identify, meet, and update profiles on the voter. So now I don't know if he was I don't think he was accurate about that. A dynamic volunteer can easily speak with a voter and with their email and other digitally handled get the voter videos and other answers to areas they care about. The scenario includes volunteer or walk-on lists, encountering a potential voter, updating their records real time, and deepening contact with the voter and information we have to offer. So you can see, and it goes on, the digital strategy, the media strategy, analytics, and core engineering, all the rules, the key things, and this is really outlining exactly what they need to do for Google to help. That's why you don't use Google search. It's completely compromised. It's all political correctness anyway, right? That's why you use DuckDuckGo, and so you can just go DuckDuckGo on any of your browsers. You just go up to the settings and you select DuckDuckGo, like a duck, quacking duck twice. Go. DuckDuckGo is what I use for all my searches. So if I just go in here, I'm searching on something like sealed indictments, right? Indictments. If I do that at the top of my browser, you'll see that it's using this little duck here. It's a DuckDuckGo. It's a much better way to not get compromised, politically correct, Google filtered, deep state crap on your searches. Okay. So that's why DuckDuckGo is a much better choice. There it is, DuckDuckGo. Okay, sorry for that. I don't get anything from them. They're not a sponsor. I'm just trying to get you off of Google. Right? Here we go on. Looks like I didn't go back far enough. I have tons of news for you guys here. So let's. And by the way, the one of the sergeants that was the African American guy that Q sent me a Twitter and might come on for an interview. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? So let's get back to this. There it is. So that's kind of where I left off with the key things with Eric Schmidt being the slime he is. and part of the cabal. And here we are. 11/11 is the milestone date, exactly as Q stated it would be, entering a new phase, justice. Right. So here's some good discussion on exactly what we just all reviewed, and some people are talking about Gowdy just named as a name on the list for the permanent AG. Poor deep state, you are truly screwed. And so, wouldn't you expect Rosenstein to be the acting AG instead of Whitaker? Tries not to smile. You would. These are interesting times that we are in. This is when Gowdy was being interviewed. He smiles. Ha ha ha, they are so effed. So bottom line, you can go look at, this is a click, you click here, you'll see a Gowdy actually talk about the fact why is not, well, I'll just click on it real quick to show you. So Gowdy will tell you why Rod Rosenstein is not there. And it was an executive order that Trump put in back in March, knowing this was going to happen. Way back in March, he did an executive order changing the succession plan. I also want to make sure you guys knew about qmap.pub. It's a really cool site where, like, here's all the players. It's got all the normal Q posts that you would have, but they put a title on each one of them, so you can find some things a little bit easier sometimes. They have the players, they have a global themes, they have videos, they even have a prayer wall, which is really cool. Like, here's somebody that just 7 hours ago put a prayer for everybody up here. 8 hours ago, somebody praying. Oh, here's one 9 minutes ago. God, please watch over President Trump. Please, God, protection always, amen. Pray this in the name of the blood of your son, Jesus Christ, amen. So come to qmap.pub. Versus QAnon.pub is where I'm always am. But qmap.pub is a really great resource where you can see the same drops as well as see the drops we just went over. And really get a bunch more information. Talks about human trafficking, executive orders. So this is executive order. One of those in March, I believe it was, is the one that actually changed the succession order. Talking about steps to address Federal Independent Council on Crime Prevention, amendments to the manual for court-martial. So in here, he actually changed the succession order to actually allow him to put who he wants in there as the acting. And so before Gowdy gets in there, there's going to be a bunch of action taken toward wiping out some people he wants out, just like he got rid of Spicer and Reince Priebus and a bunch of people with Anthony Scaramucci, right? We talked about that last night. Here's some just discussions. You can go to this. I like to refresh it. It's to see new comments, and it just gives you some tons of discussion about this. There's a bunch of shills on here, so you have to be careful. But anyway, this person basically said, interesting, my husband, who I've been red pilling, had a moment earlier while watching POTUS today. He said something's not right with travel. Then he asked if Q had mentioned anything about that. So I'm not sure if he's talking about Trump's travel or whatever, but the whole Secret Service text, drop is amazing. Here's a Daily Caller thing talking about Democrats escalate. I just lost the title. I don't know if I clicked on something. Oh, it's trying to give me an ad. So it's basically they're escalating. You've got to make him recuse. You got to have Whitaker. Matt Whitaker's got to recuse himself. Now, Q's already told us there will be no recusal. And so they're freaking out about this. Oh my goodness, we don't have Rod Rosenstein as our protector anymore. What's going to happen? He's our firewall. And so maybe everything's just going to be declassed like boom, who knows? Or he's going to fire a bunch of people, but he's going to be the temporary person to get in there before they put the long-term deep state takedown person, which I think is going to be Gowdy. Here we are on Q's revelations have brought me to question my worth as a veteran. So this is kind of scary because he just now knows that we have these deep state criminals that they like wars and they funded both sides to make money. They own the oil companies, they own the defense contractors companies. The banking thing and the loans to the countries, everything was set up. And so, but anyway, everybody's trying to give him, say, you are worthy, you are good, you are appreciated. We thank you deeply. So veterans, please know that. Thank you so much for your service to this country. It's not your fault that we had deep state operatives getting us in wars we shouldn't have been in. Here's a person. Now, there's some swearing in this warning that as I'm going to read this, I'll try to kind of hide that a little bit. Ex-Intel fag and CTA Been here 53 weeks, right on the monkey's nuts. It says, we're witnessing a scope of operation so effing massive, it boggles my mind. I'd give my left thing to spend 4 hours in the real war room. I can't even fathom the amount of ops being carried out in parallel fashion, let alone how much each impacts many others. Checking in from SC, God bless, thank you, Roger Sloan from South Carolina. But here she says, while basically comfy, that things are basically moving along in the expected direction, I never forget that these are real people dealing with truly evil efforts that have nothing to lose. That's exactly what these are. It's a cornered rat that knows they're in trouble. Wife and I pray each day for our military, our allies worldwide that are helping. Team Q, POTUS, FLOTUS, military intel, and all other people that are literally putting their lives on the line for all of us piss weak keyboard warriors. I'd give anything to wind back the hands of time and re-enlist. This is one POTUS I'd be honored to call my commander-in-chief. It's like, whoa, is that not just the coolest thing? That you know, to have somebody talk like that is just cool. And I think that's a good time for me to talk about the other sponsor, and that is Donald J. Trump here, all his accomplishments that he's had. And this is one POTUS that I would be proud to honor as a veteran going to as a commander in chief. That's what, and so I'm so proud of his accomplishment and how he's delivering for the people. And it's worldwide too. Hey, Roseanne Dower, how are you doing? Change my name to YouTube to better Twitter handle. Thanks for everything. Pray for California. No question. Best nanny ever. I tell you what, we do need to be praying for California. But tell you, it's sure nice to have. Can you imagine if we had Hillary president right now? What would be happening? It'd be like, oh my goodness. We'd all be going in thought police camps right now. Here is, this Trump coin. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew about this if you wanted to really celebrate the best president in the world, probably going to be go down as the best president in history, I believe. But it says the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and on the back of it, delivering as promised, 1 troy ounce, 0.999 fine silver, and it has these 4 accomplishments on there, talking about the first major tax reform in 30 years, the unemployment rate, talking about the jobless claims, and the Dow Jones, the highest in history. And it's just an awesome coin that you can get. I got a bunch for Christmas presents. But you can see it comes in this plastic deal, so your oil on your hands don't hurt the coin at all. So it can be just perfect, right? So that is the Trump coin that you can get free shipping on if you get more than 3 of them, if you put blessed in the coupon code. So again, you just come down here. Now there's also a gold one that's $18.95. So that's out of my price range though. But if you want a gold coin, it's $18.95. $1,895, yes. It's only $35 for the silver one. You add it to the cart. Make sure you put at least 3 in there, and then you put blessed. So here it's got 4. Update the cart, so you can get 3 for $35 a piece, and then you'll get free shipping when you go to proceed to check out, and you can put the coupon code in right there. And make sure you put blessed in there. Okay, isn't that awesome? But boy, that's just the patriotism is just awesome here. If you look at what this is, one POTUS I'd be honored to call my commander-in-chief. Is that not true? What a blessing we have. Maybe the beginning of unsealing the indictments on Veterans Day. What better a present to the military and veterans than this? Yeah, basically having the unsealing of the indictment starting. Isn't that crazy? And here's placeholder POTUS from Q. Look like he telling us to get ready to track everything that's about to start. That's exactly right. I wonder if placeholder is Q speak for hold my beer. I gotta open me a old can of whoop ass. Sorry for the Freudian slip there, but that one's hard to not say. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against the powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against the spiritual wickedness in high places. That's Ephesians 6:12. Q's posted that several times. It says, for the believers in this site, the battle is a spiritual one. It is one with fasting and prayer, with spiritual realm, unseen, is one by physical seen, will fall into place. Continue to pray and fast. So thank you guys for all of you guys that did that with me for the elections. It looks like with maybe all this election fraud, a lot of our prayers may just be delayed a little bit, but it looks like there's going to be exciting things happening once all that gets released. Here's Stormwatcher. I want to talk a little bit about it. There's a bunch of study today on sealed indictments because there's a lot of people saying that's been debunked. There's not 61,000. It's not even close to that. It's not even any more than anybody else. So I want to address that because I think it's an important point. Here's where I find out all the time. It's Stormwatcher on Twitter. So you just go subscribe to Stormwatcher. Follow him, right? And Stormwatcher basically has been updating this every time. And this month, there was another 5,651 new. Now, I want to make sure you taught that these are sealed court documents, not sealed indictments. That's an important thing to understand. So those 61,328 new sealed court documents since 10/30/17, okay? And there's a lot of people saying that this has been debunked. And I've looked at them all. I've analyzed a bunch of them, and there's a bunch of malarkey, half of them. Some of them are very good and have good points of we need to be more careful how we talk. And also there could be some of this information, like here talking about what's normal, 1,077 per 2009 report. That may be wrong, okay, comparing that to the 61,000. And so that's what I'm going to address here in the next few minutes to help you combat somebody that's telling you it's completely fraudulent. It is not. First of all, QAnon said it himself, right? So if you go over to Q and you actually look under sealed, again, like I do, just go sealed up here in the filter, and it's there you go. It says 22 of them, right? And then I can go Control F again and type sealed again. And then it's got 23 matches. I go backwards. He's talking about what was the deal sealed under top secret classification. That's not talking about sealed indictments. Sealed federal orders it's talking about, per sealed court orders. Here it is. Why would sealed indictments be outside the GC jurisdiction? So it's clearly shown there's Huber indictments, right? That's one thing. What are sealed? They're talking about it there. See if I can go back to... Why are the accusations sealed? That's not talking about indictments. I want to get to it. Here's it. Sealed indictments. Define an indictment. So he's clearly talking to us about that. And then later he's going to say sealed tight, Hussein sealed. And he's going to actually talk about think sealed indictments here. He's clearly pointing to this. And here he is. Now here is he himself saying 40 to 50,000 sealed indictments, question mark. This was, I think, this was Q, not an anon. This is Q. Saying, have you ever witnessed 40 to 50,000 sealed indictments? Question mark. So we don't just believe this because of Stormwatchers pulling this together. We believe it because Q told us. That's one point. Okay. Second point I want to show you is that the people that are actually this is one of them that's probably did the most detailed analysis, trying to completely debunk the QAnon thing. But the first thing I also want to show you what he tried to debunk. Remember this picture here of and Q shows clearly that it was a missile being fired at Air Force One that was taken out by a special package on our planes, right? And there's no reason for us not to believe that, and there's no reason when you go look at this it looks like a missile, right? This is the blowed up picture of it. There it is. Nothing to the right, nothing to the left. That oblong object looks like a missile. What's this? Well, it looks like flames coming out of the missile. But no, guys, you are stupid if you believe that. This guy wants to convince you that it's actually a helicopter with their light going down. You know, when you go, he covered it up here, but you can't see any light on the sea. And he's talking about that's being a helicopter, and he tries to show you how this happens. And that was a tail light. That right there, that missile's a tail light. And that all that fire you see is a searchlight. You're stupid if you. So that's how. First, I wanted to talk to you about. We're talking about a deep state shill here. So that's the first thing I want to make sure everybody understands when we're talking about this guy. So when I go read his debunking of the sealed indictments, it's similar to this. It's very comprehensive. It's detailed. It's an engineering type mind, right? and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to find that. I may have just posted it in here. Darn it. He probably has a link to it down at the bottom. Let's see. So I replied to it. I probably tried to put 2 posts in here. It looks like I only got one of them here. So here, he got massive details in here and engineering type stuff, and it just tries to tell you that you're stupid. Here it is. Comprehensive analysis of the 50K sealed indictment. So just like he tells you that's not a missile, that's not fire, it's a helicopter, dude. Your eyes are just fooling you. Now he's trying to say comprehensive analysis of the 50,000 sealed indictment claim. And he goes through here and tries to show that this guy is totally wrong in all these different areas, and it's not 1,077. And he goes through a more liberal analysis of what he thinks as a better comparison. And he comes out with, I'm going to see if I can get the 1.2 here, and I'm going to show you just a part of the document that, I think it's important for you guys to know that there's a bunch of debunking crap out there. One of them's talking about, another article was just really silly, saying talk about all these different parts of a sealed indictment. There's all these different types that are, sealed court cases. There's all these different types, and it concludes parking tickets. I'm sorry, guys, they don't seal parking tickets hardly ever. They hardly ever even. It's very most indictments are unsealed. Are sealed. Unsealed. You can see them. They're unsealed. You can see them. Sealed indictments are very rare. Right? And so just the fact that we have so many sealed indictments that are so much larger. And so he's arguing that if you go through all these 1,077 sealed indictments, compared to among the 66,000, only 1.6%. So that just shows you that compared to the criminal cases versus sealed is only 1.6%. But then he goes into basically saying, no, there's not 1,077. If you look at it with all these other criteria, the better comparison is not 1,077. It's a much bigger number, and he comes out with 24,000 something. Here it is, 24,375. So I responded to the dude. I'm sure he's going to lambaste me. So in the comments down here, here's my reply back to him. I'm not going to read it all to you because it's too long. But the bottom line is this: is that he did something very dishonest. That I think is potentially intellectually dishonest. He took the percentage of his high number versus the low number, and he got to 1.2%, and he used that against the 51,000. He basically said there's less than 700 sealed indictments out there, which was just crazy logic, incorrect. And I said the better test would be, even if I give you if you're more liberal thinking of 24,300 in 2006. Let's just go with that. Let's go with 24,375 in 2006. Okay, that the article we're talking about here versus the 1,070. Okay, crime rates have not increased that much. Population has not increased that much, right? Look at how big that number is. It's 2.5 times that. It's 36,000 plus more indictments than 2006. So that means it's 2.5x that. What could explain that? More sealed things? Of course, it's going to be a larger percentage of sealed indictments. That's what it is there. And that's what I'm just saying. The majority of the 36,000 increase could be sealed indictments. And so again, sealed court cases versus sealed indictments. Just want to make sure. And so there's a lot of debunking going on there. I want to make sure you guys have ammunition against. So I'll put the link in here. You can go read it. He does a lot of other things. I just don't believe the guy based on seeing what he did with the helicopter and the rocket, right? So that I didn't get into here, but I just wanted to make sure I rebutted his 600 something sealed indictments that he has. And it's real important, I think, that we dig into that. There's a ton of sealed indictments out there. That's all there is. That's why this new meme came out and says, if they can get you to unsee this, they can get you to unsee anything. There's literally people out there that read all this stuff and say, no, that's a helicopter with a light going down, when you can go see that it's a rocket yourself with your own eyes. Okay? And, there's the second one I had. Wembley Island missile meme. What do they think of this for red-pilling normies? He's asking about this and says, I've tried. Some of the idiots are still arguing that it's the spotlight from a helicopter. Those people are brain dead. And this person right here was trying to debunk this as well. He says, I have both aviation and photographic experience. I spent the entire morning trying to debunk it and ended up concluding it was most likely very real, a missile. Like we already knew here. Ask them to Google other long exposure of helicopters and ask them where the nav and strobe lights are. Should be visible even within a spotlight shining. Also, why is there no illumination of the water since the landing light was pointing down according to the Medevac helicopter company supposedly in the area? Also, ask why the helicopter isn't visible in any of the old frames of the time lapse. Lastly, ask why the pilots would have their landing lights on while they're using night vision goggles flying through clouds. They'd be blinded. So this is a deep state trying to take Q down. The deep state media literally using all their powers to try to get you to think that that's not a rocket, it's a helicopter, and trying to make you think that there's not very many sealed indictments out there. We know that's just not right. Sorry. Here is President Putin gives POTUS a thumbs up. So if you look at this, just real carefully, it happens fast. It's bad sound, okay? But I'm going to warn you on that. It's real bad sound, the video is. But watch, Putin's going to give him a quick thumbs up. This is cool, I thought. So here he is walking right here, Putin. There he is right here. Look at, thumbs up. I hope you caught that because it's real hard to see. I'm going to play it just one more time real quick because it happens so fast. But this is the thumbs up from Putin. He's right here. There he is shaking the hand. Thumbs up. All right, there you go. So you know that those guys have a much better relationship than what we've had in the past, right? Let me get that sound out of there. Here we go. The vote was rigged in Montana and West Virginia too. So I'm running out of time because we got to get to the Bible study, guys. But this is this is all talking about a detailed look at why there was rigging in Montana and West Virginia. Here's a whole thing on a whole video, 6-minute video on exactly what they did in California. It says California DMV mailed ballots to illegal aliens who voted. Then when citizens arrived to vote in person, having never signed up for mail-in ballots, his or her votes get tossed out because if there is a person vote in the mail-in ballot, the mail-in ballot takes priority over the in-person vote. This is one of the ways California rigs elections to keep it says Democrats in power. Crazy. So illegal aliens using your name, they mail in the ballot, and then when you go to vote, your vote, you can vote. You don't even know that your vote's being tossed. That is criminal activity happening right now. Here's a guy explaining election fraud. Democratic challenger to Debbie Wasserman Schultz says Snipes destroyed ballots that would have elected him.
Watch. Sure. I ran as a Democrat in a primary against Debbie Wasserman Schultz in 2016. And after we lost by 13 percentage points, we were very concerned that the outcome was not accurate at all. We had an enormous field operation. Our numbers actually showed us winning. So I put in a public records request to inspect the ballots. Brenda Snipes, the supervisor of elections, stonewalled us for half a year. I filed a lawsuit, and while the lawsuit was pending, Brenda Snipes destroyed all of the ballots in violation of state and federal criminal law. She admitted to it in videotape deposition, and the Florida Circuit Court granted a summary judgment.
Let me stop you right there. I want to get.
I mean, can you believe that? That is just crazy. And that's the type of stuff that's going on in our country right now. And then you remember this. This is Future Proofs Past. Project Veritas 2016. Democrat Party operatives describe how to successfully commit voter fraud on a massive scale. Admit Democrats have been rigging elections for 50 years. That's how this 16-year plan to destroy America got started way back 50 years ago with a bunch of election fraud. Opa-locka postal facility. Same facility alleged to be holding uncounted ballots processed Caesar Sayox pipe bombs, and they evacuated. What happened to those votes? Why they evacuated it? So there's a lot. suspicious activity going on everywhere across this country here. Caught on video, Florida Democrat Party attorney tells Laura Loomer destroying ballots isn't fraud. So you can go down here and watch this guy. We don't have time, but it's like he literally says it's not fraud to destroy the ballots, even though she illegally did it. Brenda Snipes is a criminal and should not be running elections. Wow. So that's the news. And it took me an hour just to get through all the drops in the news because it was such a great night of information. I'm now going to get into the Bible study after I talk to you a little bit about just coming to blessed2teach.com, so that you can get the show notes. So I spend a lot of time on show notes, guys, and sometimes I can't get to them that night, so I do them in the morning or even later. And so if you want to know exactly when they are, and guys, you saw what happened to Praying Medic. He's off YouTube. So you need to get to my backup channel, as well as please come here and connect with me via your email, or get with me on Twitter or Facebook. There's tons of people. I have 44,000 people on YouTube and only 3,000 on Facebook, as an example, and 6,000 on Twitter, right? And so come and get me your email here. I'm not going to abuse it. The best thing it's going to do for you is you're going to know you'll get an email exactly when the show notes are done, and you'll be able to link to them. Okay, and they're very well done. I just love how the website did this. Is that it actually allows it to render with all the pictures on a lot of them, and the articles already have, they're rendered up here for you, right? So these are awesome show notes that you want to have access to, especially if you're listening to the podcast, right? So I can have them all in one location. They're not in this video. They're at blessed2teach.com with the number 2, blessed2teach.com. Okay. And now, guys, also minds.com is the Patriot replacement for Facebook. I've got 1,344 subscribers here now, and this has been fun. I'm earning money for free, and you can too. They give you cryptocurrency for free, literally. Right here, I've got 217 tokens because you guys have been so great at joining me here, and I post a lot here, and you basically can get 2 or 3 coins a day to you if you're active and you bring other people and refer them here. And then you can take I'm taking some of those and boosting my posts so more people see them, such as my video and my page, right? So it's awesome. You can see I earned almost 4 tokens yesterday, and I wasn't very active compared to back before, where I was getting a lot more. Sometimes I was getting 7 or 8 coins because a lot of you joined. So you send your referral code out, and you literally earn these tokens, which can be turned into Ethereum, right? This is the Ethereum network, which is it's like Bitcoin, similar to Ethereum, right? So join me on minds.com. There's a referral link down below, or just come there and join minds.com, right? And also make sure that you're preparing. There's with all the deep state actions, who knows what's going to happen? They've threatened to poison our water at one time. Laura D. Rothschild did, right? That's why I partnered with the Patriot Supply Company to do waterwithrick.com. This is awesome. I'm using this now. I put tap water in here, and in a couple hours, it comes down here purely fresh and filtered. And then instead of buying Aquafina and carrying these big, huge things of water every week, I'm now just refilling them up here. Or you can just use your cup, obviously. But I refill them into my plastic bottle and put them in the refrigerator because I just like the convenience of it. But now I don't have to spend money on water. So it's incredibly, I'm going to make this money back really quick. $100 off on waterwithrick.com on getting this awesome filter for you. You can't live with any more than 3 days without water, and so if you do get poisoned water, to be able to filter through it would be a very valuable thing, let alone all the contaminants are in your water right now. Heavy metals, fluoride, chlorine, viruses and bacteria, pesticides and pharmaceuticals. This eliminates 206 contaminants, right? Now, also food. This is preparewithrick.com versus waterwithrick.com, where you can go get survival food that lasts 25 years. I'm going to try the macaroni and cheese tomorrow, but they got all these different types of foods. And it's got 8 food varieties. Here's got 15 food varieties if you get the 4-week. Getting a huge discount on the 2-week and a whole 4-week discount on that. So let's get into this Bible study. It's awesome. This is another browser I opened up, and this is Esther. So there's 3 chapters left in Nehemiah. It's mostly just around all the people that were still there, etc. It wasn't a lot of lessons that applied to today like I want. And so I'm moving on to Esther 1. So we went over Ezra, then we went over Nehemiah, and now we're into Esther, okay? And Esther is a famous story. There's plays on it all the time, etc. And Mordecai and Esther, the two heroes in that, right? And some of the lessons we've got here is the fasting and praying they were doing, how they were worshiping the Lord, and it's just really cool stuff to see how the Old Testament applies here. And the reason I started with these books is because it applies to Trump. Because the reason Ezra was here and the reason the temple got rebuilt is all because of Cyrus. And a lot of people are calling Trump the modern day Cyrus, right? Because he was not a Christian probably when he decided to run, and he was rough around the edges, secular, and all of a sudden you just see him be used by God, just like Cyrus was, who went over and took over Nebuchadnezzar, nailed him, and then he let all the Israelites in captivity to go back home. But the coolest thing in Isaiah 45, and Trump is the 45th president. So Isaiah 45 prophesied 100 years before he was even born that Cyrus would be used by God, and he was. So God, as we know, there's been a lot of prophecies about Trump being president, and we see his actions. So hey, let's read Esther. I'm gonna do this fast. You can go to playback speed with your little 3 dots and go to playback speed and slow this down if you want. I'm gonna play it at 1.5 just in the interest of time. So I'm playing it fast. I'm gonna listen through Esther 1 and Esther 2, and this guy pronounces everything right, so it's awesome. Here it is. I'm gonna do it 1.5. You can go to play speed and slow it down if you'd like.
The Book of Esther, chapter 1. This is what happened during the time of Xerxes, the Xerxes who ruled over 127 provinces stretching from India to Kush. At that time, King Xerxes reigned from his royal throne in the citadel of Susa, and in the 3rd year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all his nobles and officials. The military leaders of Persia and Media, the princes and the nobles of the provinces were present. For a full 180 days, he displayed the vast wealth of his kingdom and the splendor and glory of his majesty. When these days were over, the king gave a banquet lasting 7 days in the enclosed garden of the king's palace for all the people from the least to the greatest who were in the citadel of Susa. The garden had hangings of white and blue linen, fastened with cords of white linen and purple material to silver rings on marble pillars. There were couches of gold and silver and a mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, mother of pearl, and other costly stones. Wine was served in goblets of gold, each one different from the other, and the royal wine was abundant in keeping with the king's liberality. By the king's command, each guest was allowed to drink with no restrictions, for the king instructed all the wine stewards to serve each man what he wished. Queen Vashti also gave a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes. On the 7th day, when King Xerxes was in high spirits from wine, he commanded the 7 eunuchs who served him, Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abigtha, Zithar, and Carcass, to bring before him Queen Vashti wearing her royal crown, in order to display her beauty to the people and nobles, for she was lovely to look at. But when the attendants delivered the king's command, Queen Vashti refused to come. Then the king became furious and burned with anger. Since it was customary for the king to consult experts in matters of law and justice, he spoke with the wise men who understood the times, and were closest to the king, Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsena, and Memucan, the 7 nobles of Persia and Media, who had special access to the king, and were highest in the kingdom. According to law, what must be done to Queen Vashti, he asked. She has not obeyed the command of King Xerxes that the eunuchs have taken to her. But Memucan replied in the presence of the king and the nobles, Queen Vashti has done wrong, not only against the king, but also against all the nobles and the peoples of all the provinces of King Xerxes. For the queen's conduct will become known to all the women, and so they will despise their husbands and say, King Xerxes commanded Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she would not come. This very day, the Persian and Median women of the nobility who have heard about the queen's conduct will respond to all the king's nobles in the same way. There will be no end of disrespect and discord. Therefore, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree, and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, which cannot be repealed, that Vashti is never again to enter the presence of King Xerxes. Also, let the king give her royal position to someone else who is better than she. Then, when the king's edict is proclaimed throughout all his vast realm, all the women will respect their husbands, from the least to the greatest. The king and his nobles were pleased with this advice, so the king did as Memucan proposed. He sent dispatches to all parts of the kingdom, to each province in its own script, and to each people in their own language, proclaiming that every man should be ruler over his own household using his native tongue.
So you can see here's a secular, king, really having a huge party, and his queen doesn't come and so God set this up, though. Obviously, you'll see how he set this up for his providence over as we go through these chapters. But here's chapter 2 that's now getting into what's he going to do now that he doesn't have a queen. So here we go on this.
Esther 2. Later, when King Xerxes' fury had subsided, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what he had decreed about her. Then the king's personal attendants proposed, "Let a search be made for beautiful young virgins for the king. Let the king appoint commissioners in every province of his realm to bring all these beautiful young women into the harem at the citadel of Susa. Let them be placed under the care of Hegai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women, and let beauty treatments be given to them. Then let the young woman who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti." This advice appealed to the king, and he followed it. Now there was in the citadel of Susa a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin named Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, who had been carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, among those taken captive with Jehoiachin, king of Judah. Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, whom he had brought up because she had neither father nor mother. This young woman, who was also known as Esther, had a lovely figure and was beautiful.
There's Esther.
Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. When the king's order and edict had been proclaimed, many young women were brought to the citadel of Susa and put under the care of Hegai. Esther also was taken to the king's palace and entrusted to Hegai, who had charge of the harem. She pleased him and won his favor. Immediately, he provided her with her beauty treatments and special food. He assigned her 7 female attendants selected from the king's palace and moved her and her attendants into the best place in the harem. Esther had not revealed her nationality and family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. Every day he walked back and forth near the courtyard of the harem to find out how Esther was and what was happening to her. Before a young woman's turn came to go into King Xerxes, she had to complete 12 months of beauty treatments prescribed for the women. 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 with perfumes and cosmetics. And this is how she would go to the king. Anything she wanted was given her to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening she would go there, and in the morning return to another part of the harem to the care of Shaashgaz, the king's eunuch who was in charge of the concubines. She would not return to the king unless he was pleased with her and summoned her by name. When the turn came for Esther, the young woman Mordecai had adopted, the daughter of his uncle Abihail, to go to the king, she asked for nothing other than what Hegai, the king's eunuch who was in charge of the harem, suggested. And Esther won the favor of everyone who saw her. She was taken to King Xerxes in the royal residence in the 10th month, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Now the king was attracted to Esther more than to any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than any of the other virgins. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. And the king gave a great banquet, Esther's banquet, for all his nobles and officials. He proclaimed a holiday throughout the provinces and distributed gifts with royal liberality. When the virgins were assembled a second time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. But Esther had kept secret her family background and nationality just as Mordecai had told her to do, for she continued to follow Mordecai's instructions as she had done when he was bringing her up. During the time Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthana and Teresh, 2 of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, became angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. But Mordecai found out about the plot and told Queen Esther, who in turn reported to the king, giving credit to Mordecai. And when the report was investigated and found to be true, the 2 officials were impaled on poles. All this was recorded in the book of the annals in the presence of the king.
All right. Hey, so we're going to go over the rest of this, but make sure you join the next couple of Sundays because this is an awesome story that parallels a lot of the deep state and criminals and what they'll do to God's people, right? And that's exactly what they're trying to do right now. These deep state operatives obviously trying to use their and really it's a satanic spirit around these guys where they think they're better than everybody else and they treat us like sheep and cattle. Just like you'll see one individual is going to do to the Jewish people here in this story. But if you go back to here on chapter 1, you can see this Queen Vashti does not doesn't obey the king, and that was for most back then in the secular kingdom world that was death, right? So the fact that she's not dead is probably amazing, but God used that to actually get Esther as the queen, which is an important part of the story as we go forward. But you can see how secular and just told pagan they were there. For a full 180 days, he displayed a vast wealth of his kingdom and splendor and glory of his majesty, right? So worshiping himself, basically. By the king's command, each guest was allowed to drink with no restrictions, for the king instructed all the wine stewards to serve each man what he wished. So for 7 days, they got plastered, basically. But when the attendees delivered the king's command, Queen Vashti refused to come. Then the king became furious and burned with anger. So he's basically drunk and he gets pissed. And it's embarrassing to him, obviously. As an all-powerful king, He's supposed to be like a god, right? According to law, that must be done to Queen Vashti, he's asked, as she has not obeyed the command of King Xerxes, and the eunuchs have taken to her. So then the story continues, and obviously you've got a problem here that he's got to take care of. And then they justify it because women should have no rights, basically, right? So you can tell this is a man-oriented secular culture here. Then the young woman, and so then he's basically going to have all these virgins come in front of him. And this is part of the story that's funny when you go see a play on Esther, if you've ever seen one, where all these women, they get everything they want and they're trying to impress the king. So then they let the young woman who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti. This advice appealed to the king, and he followed it. Now there was a citadel of Susa, a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin, named Mordecai, son of, and this is the guy who raises Esther, right? And wasn't even his own daughter, but he raised her like a daughter. So that's a big lesson in this too, of how family, taking care of your family, right? And the fact that he raised her, even though her mom and dad were passed away. Esther, here we get Esther introduced for the first time. But what was interesting here is that the young woman who pleased the king to be queen instead of Vashti, the advice appealed to the king, and he followed it. So here he's going to have this big deal, and it was like 4 years, literally, before he ended up picking Esther. So, and when you read the story, it doesn't really look that way, but part of it was the 12 months. Well, it was 4 years from the time he basically divorced his wife, right, his queen, and they were doing like 12 months of getting pretty and everything. But probably the key part of this story is right here, that most people do their plays based on, is Esther had not revealed her nationality and family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. But right here, every day walked back and forth in the courtyard and harem, and to find out how Esther and was happening to her. I'm sorry, it's the next part that was that. But that's important too, is that she was respecting her dad, basically the person that was raised her like a dad, right? Respected her elders and listened to them, and as a young girl actually ended up doing amazing things because she did listen to her elders, right? When their turn came for Esther, the young woman Mordecai had adopted, the daughters and his uncle Abdal, to go to the king, she asked for nothing other than what Hagel, the king eunuch who was in charge of them harem, suggested. And Esther won the favor of everyone who saw her, which was amazing because everybody else, you could bring anything into the king, all this jewelry, all this stuff, and all these things, and perfume, and all this crap, and most of the other women probably overdid it, right? Trying to impress the king. And she went with hardly anything. That's kind of the story and the play that you'll see a lot out there. It's really cute how they've done some of these. So now the king was attracted to Esther more than any of the other women, even though they had more perfume, more, wealthy stuff on them, jewelry and all, more of everything, right? Big hair, right? Probably. And she won the favor and approval more than any of the other versions. So she set a royal crown on her head and made her queen of Vashti. So this is kind of the cool part of the story where all these other maidens did something different, and he didn't even know she was a Jewish person. And then Mordecai actually undercovers a conspiracy of some deep state people, just like people trying to kill Trump. Here you had some people trying to kill the king, right? And so this has been as long as ever has happened, right? And Mordecai actually becomes somebody that the king can trust now, and having the connection into Esther, the queen, helped out a lot in this situation. As the story goes on, you'll see some incredible parallels to what's going on in our world now. But I think the couple of big points here is, if you've come back here, is just the secular world, and God can control. He controlled Pharaoh. He controlled Cyrus. I believe he controlled Trump early on and brought him, and now I believe Trump has the Lord in his heart. And that Kim Clement talks about that heavily, about how the Spirit of God's going to come into him. I believe, and he's praying almost every day in the White House. So it's an amazing thing to see that transformation that's happened. And then you see in chapter 2 here where Mordecai's actually raising somebody that's not even his daughter, and gives her support, and then she rewards him. And because of that relationship, and she grows up to be, obviously the queen of a kingdom. and it will be used in a mighty way to save her people later, right? But this is a cool story that I think you'll find big parallels to as we move forward you'll see the evil deep state of that time trying to take out Mordecai and all his people, the Jewish people. Let's pray about what's going on right now in our world. Lord, thank you so much for this Bible study on Esther and also the Nehemiah and Ezra. Thank you for QAnon guiding us here. Thank you most importantly for your spirit being on this country and on these leaders and raising up Trump for such a time as this. Lord, we ask for protection around him in his trips over and just really this next 8 years. Just please give him 6 years, I guess now. Just give him protection, supernatural protection for his family, his cabinet, his extended group of servants, including the NSA and the military intelligence. Please put your blessing on all those people and their families, Lord. We pray that you just confuse this cabal, confuse this evil, and will give us a righteous country as you heal it, Lord. Thank you for these latest posts about the unsealing happening, about the declassing happening. Please reveal the evil and open up the eyes of all those who are not awake. Lord, please allow us and give us wisdom about when to talk to our friends and family and others about the truth. Give us wisdom about what things not to talk about as well. Give us wisdom about what's not true with all this misinformation that's not only coming from the mainstream media, the Mockingbird media, but it's also coming from fellow truthers that have become part of a controlled opposition or just being completely deceived. That person trying to tell us that a rocket is a helicopter, and trying to tell us that the massive unsealed indictments is a fallacy. Lord, we just pray you let us understand what's true and what's not true. You correct me when I'm wrong, correct us all when we're wrong. I just thank you for that. And I thank you for this platform and these patriots that I get to talk to nearly every night. We say these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys, thank you for hanging on. Still 1,500 of you on for the Bible study. Really do appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Had over 2,000 on during the broadcast. I think 2,200 or something was the peak. Just exciting things going on right now. I'll talk to you guys just for a few minutes. I need to get back to my wife. An hour and 20. These are going a little bit longer than I'd like. There's so much information. I just have a hard time. I want to be comprehensive on this. This is just such an awesome time. Amen. A lot of people are saying, I see that. Thank you, guys. If you want me to make sure I hit you, make sure you put @blessed with no spaces so I can see the red, or a small super chat so I can make sure I capture it, because I've been getting a lot of complaints that I'm missing people they want to communicate with me. And thank you for the couple of super chats that we got earlier. I do appreciate that. Thank you, Rick, says Law Dog. Appreciate you, man. You guys are awesome. I just really appreciate it's tough when I have you can imagine how much I have a hard time keeping up with my social media now, as you know. So I tried to catch up as much as I could on the weekends. But if you guys are communicating with me Monday through, Sunday night through Thursday night, you're going to have a hard time getting responses from me. I'll do my best. But aloha, Rick, says Sean Snyder. Aloha to you too, buddy. You must be from, I'm guessing you're from Hawaii. Good taught is the Bible to always have 3 trusted sources, 3 witnesses. That's right, as far as just understanding what's true and what's not true. I was in a Bible study in the AM, and it was so tired, and when I was asked what I thought about Haman, I said, they gave him enough rope, and he hung himself. They were cracking up. That's right, just like we've given the Democrats enough rope in the House right now, and we gave them enough rope during the elections, and we'll see if they hung themselves. It'd be real interesting. Rick, we need prayer for the site. Lots of shills and trolls. Hey, Laurie Colvin, nice to see you. Yeah, for this site, for also, obviously, QAnon.pub and all the sites, Lord, we just pray that you'll just give us favor, Lord. I just keep coming back to one basic thing when I'm thinking about all these different things that are hitting me, right? So I just think about, Lord, thank you for just continuing to heal this land. All right, if we just continue to pray that and fast over that, and he just continues to heal this land, amazing things are going to happen. Just like when David used to go take over the Philistines, and just to think about when he was a young kid, when as David and Goliath, that with 5 stones, with 1 stone, he actually took out Goliath, right? And so God is an amazing God, an all-powerful God, the Almighty, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, and he can do anything, right? So just amazing. We there's no way without the Lord that we could take out the deep state, and it's amazing Trump's still alive. So we need to continue to pray for that and his blessings on him, right? I need coffee, though I can't fast with coffee. I'm a wimpy faster. I drink whatever I want during my fast, and I just go without a couple of meals. I think I've told you guys that. But that works for me, and just bringing me closer to the Lord. All right, guys. Hey, thank you all. Really do appreciate you. Don't come looking for Jesus. They come looking to start trouble. Yeah, there's a lot of shills out there for sure. I really appreciate Dream With Me 23 serving me here, as well as all the other moderators. Appreciate you guys a ton. We're going to wrap it up there and say, thank you, Lord. Let the unsealing begin. This is Blessed to Teach show here on November 11th, Sunday. We actually did a Bible study on Esther 1 and 2. Looks like I misspelled it. Darn it, on here on my title. I'll try to get that right on the actual invite here. But hey, this is Blessed to Teach show on the November 11th. God bless you guys, and I'll talk to you later.